In they come. They're off. The extended 2.5 miles for the SSS Super Alloys Novices Chase. The grey Caldwell Potter and Springwell Bay lead them to the first of 17 scheduled fences. Much more fluent leap of the leading pair came from Caldwell Potter, and he extended an early advantage over Springwell Bay, with Jango Baie dropping into third, the red and white diamonds for Nico de Boinville, and then Deafening Silence and Harry Skelton in fourth place. A particularly fluent leap there from Jango Baie carries him up into second, up to the leaders' quarters. And meanwhile, Ballymackie, the outside of the five, is currently last of the five as they cross the intersection and move on towards the third. Caldwell Potter and Jango Baie each jumping really well in the early part of the race, tracked by Springwell Bay, who's close up in third, just at Jango Baie's quarters. Deafening Silence a length and a half further back, and 2 lengths away to Ballymackie, swinging at the bottom end of the track in the murk and heading towards the end of the first half mile. Caldwell Potter, Harry Cobden, with Jango Baie and Nico de Boinville sitting on his tail. Springwell Bay and John Joe Jr. White Jacket turning on in third, ahead of Deafening Silence, and Ballymackie and Richie McClernand are still racing last of the five as they come into the wings of the fourth. Caldwell Potter very quick through the air. Deafening Silence in fourth place, going a little out to his right. Not quite as slick as the three immediately ahead of him. On fairly quickly now to the fifth. Caldwell Potter, Jango Baie attacked it, jumped it really well. Springwell Bay stalking them, and then Deafening Silence and Ballymackie. On the run up to the next pair of fences, numbers 6 and 7 approaching. Caldwell Potter on the right, Jango Baie on the left. Been a pretty even gallop so far. And the leading three jumping well there, with Springwell Bay in behind the leading duo. Deafening Silence in fourth took it well enough. Ballymackie last of five over the seventh. Caldwell Potter, Jango Baie, Springwell Bay right in behind them as they turn to meet rising ground. And Caldwell Potter holding the inside running rail, shading the lead, nudging nearly 30 miles an hour on the ascent. Jango Baie racing a very close second. Springwell Bay slipstreaming. Deafening Silence is a further 2 or 3 lengths away, racing firmly in touch in fourth place, but the gap has grown somewhat to Ballymackie, who's now a further 6 or 7 lengths back in the field. On towards fence 8. Caldwell Potter, Jango Baie ridden into it, took it well. Springwell Bay was a little more cautious in third. Then Deafening Silence and this growing gap to Ballymackie. Onto the water. Caldwell Potter on the near side of Jango Baie, inseparable there. That seemed to catch Springwell Bay out slightly, just pitched a little crossing the water, but he still holds third. Deafening Silence is very close now in fourth, the first of a pair of open ditches. Jango Baie alongside Caldwell Potter, Springwell Bay and Deafening Silence very much in the action in behind, and this gap to Ballymackie. Caldwell Potter and Jango Baie again rising as one over Springwell Bay and Deafening Silence, and now they race across the top of the course. They've got just under a mile to go, 6 to jump. They're heading towards another open ditch. Caldwell Potter just about made every inch so far, jumping well there. Now, Jango Baie himself was pretty good in second. No significant errors from the third and fourth. Springwell Bay and Deafening Silence going now to 5 out. Caldwell Potter over Jango Baie. A length between them on landing. 2 away to Springwell Bay, and Deafening Silence is a further couple of lengths away. Beginning to come on down the hill then, heading now towards the fourth last, and still 4 of them very much with a chance here as Caldwell Potter leads them on the descent to Jango Baie. Springwell Bay White Jacket is close up in fourth, 2 or 3 lengths away to Deafening Silence. Ballymackie remote still going at this stage, and now they're moving down towards the third last. Caldwell Potter, Cobden still sitting quietly, but de Boinville has yet to move on Jango Baie, covering every move the leader has made. In behind, waiting in the wings, Springwell Bay. Deafening Silence after more. Caldwell Potter, very quick, very nimble at the third last. Cobden glances in behind. Jango Baie still right at the leader's quarters. They swing for home. Couple of fences to jump. Long run to the second last. Caldwell Potter will be first in line for the judge to Jango Baie. Springwell Bay against the rail, now making his effort, trying to thread the eye of the needle. Deafening Silence just a little outpaced, and Jango Baie on the left now draws alongside Caldwell Potter. Potter. Here's the second last, Jango Baie jumping on from Caldwell Potter and Springwell Bay. Between the final two fences, de Boinville shakes up Jango Baie, spies the final fence, takes it quickly, lands 2 lengths ahead. Caldwell Potter was down in his nose, that's done for him. Springwell Bay is staying on determinedly, but Jango Baie is running on powerfully all the way to the line, and this Grade 1 winning hurdler could be a class act over fences. He makes a winning chasing debut, sees off Springwell Bay, Caldwell Potter, deafening silence, and back in 5th, Ballymackie.
Jango Baie was really good on chasing debut here at Cheltenham. Nicky Henderson's with me now. Nico seemed very happy, very confident to let him crack on and get on with things. Nicky, were you expecting a smart performance today?
He's a smart horse, and hoping you'd like to see that. And just, you know, you're always a little bit nervous coming here for their first run of fences. All the others have had experience. And he was last year in his first run. He was a bit fresh. And he was there a bit. He went straight down and tackled those first 3 fences, and you know, we were actually intending to drop him in a bit, but he wasn't having any of that.
He does strike you as a sort of horse that enjoys it, that's a natural enthusiast. Is that the way he is at home?
Yeah, he's pretty straightforward, to be fair, but he's always jumped very nicely, and he's sort of quite accurate. Wouldn't be the biggest horse in the world, but he's got a lot of scope. And Nico asked him some good questions there. I mean, he helped the horse all the way. He held his hand all the way round, but you know, he certainly asked him proper questions, and he got some proper answers as well.
I tried to draw Nico into whether he was a pacey chaser or a staying chaser, and of course he said somewhere in between, but of course, yeah, you know what the answer to that is when we come to March.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But I mean, what we all saying, I mean, I was thinking, I don't know what I was saying, but Roddy's horse, Ballyburn, I mean, if there was a 2.5, you'd be fairly sort of, you'd probably going, that would be his route if it was there. It's not there. So we are lucky. I think there's some nice novice chasers this year. So, you know, we've got to see who's 2 and who's 3. There used to be 2, 2.5, and 3, which made life a bit easier. But I don't think they're going to get into the handicap somehow now.
No, I think that's out. But that's they're high-class problems.
It's a very high-class problem. I mean, it's, you know, as you can see, when Peaky Boy was in this race today, but he's coming in tomorrow over 3 miles. And see how he gets on. He was very good over 2.5 here at the last meeting. So, you know, it's yeah, as you say, it's a nice problem, and sorting them out is a nice puzzle that we have to solve.
Will you try and get him out again quite quickly or not?
I wouldn't have thought so. I mean, he's not going to suddenly turn around and Kempton or anything like that anyway. I mean, no, we'll just play and let the others, you know, I say there is, you know, there's still the distinct possibility that Gino would even possibly turn up over fences at Kempton.
It still could turn up over fences at Kempton.
They've got to go somewhere.
Okay, so that suggests that Constitution Hill is well.
But he's fine. I mean, he looks really well, and we're happy.
Yeah, so that would be the idea. He'd go to the Christmas hurdle, and then Sir Gino would go
up in the air. But let's see how we get on.
He's learning all the way around. I asked him a few questions, and he was very brave at his fences, and I think that's the right trip, right ground, so that's a perfect start. I
mean, I always associate you with being super patient, especially on a novice chaser, but you went out and said, no, I want a piece of this right from the outset.
Well, he told me that earlier.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, so then I was just sort of a passenger, and you may as well work with them instead of work against.
So you think just don't disappoint him, let him get on with it?
Exactly, don't disappoint them. If they're jumpy there, let them, you know, make up the ground in the air.
But to what extent do you have to have the confidence in his jumping?
Oh yeah, it's either do or don't, so yeah, go with it.
High caliber performance, do you think this is a proper Grade 1 horse?
Well, look, on his hurdles form, you'd say so, but still plenty to do, and you've got to find the races. It's hard to find the race at the moment.
It surely is. And more of a pacey chaser or more of a staying chaser, do you think?
You'd like to think he's somewhere in between.
Well, could you definitively say you wouldn't run them both in the Christmas hurdle?
No, I wouldn't say we wouldn't, no. I mean, it's possible we do. I think it's that, you know, if all's going, I'm still tempted with Gino over fences. He's a very, very good jumper.
Have you schooled him over fences since he won the Fighting Fifth?
No.
Yeah, you don't need to.
We're thinking about it.
But it sounds like he's scary schooling over fences.
He's very, very good.
Is he?
He's got so much scope. He's, you know, he'd be a lot bigger than this boy.
Well, I can't wait to see both of them or either of them. How much more work have you got to do with Constitution Hill?
He's got a couple of bits to do, but we're all mapped out, and I think we're getting there.
Will Mount and Beau Zenith, interesting recruits to the yard. Now, Will Mount disappointed last time we saw him when he had a very big reputation. Is he all A1 now?
Yeah, fine. We were going to go to Sandown last weekend, and you know what, the Sandown ground, I mean, I'm pleased we did, because this is beautiful ground here. I mean, really lovely, perfect, just beautiful. So I'm glad we made that decision. Sandown wouldn't have suited him, and this is a competitive race, but it's on a better surface for him.
But then he was a horse we were talking about as a possible Grade 1 horse and so on and so forth. Do you think he's pretty well handicapped on that basis?
I don't know if he's well handicapped. I mean, you know, it was difficult to give him a mark on only 2 runs, a win and a virtual pulled up. So, you know, they have given him a chance. The plan was to go chasing, but he can't go chasing really until he's got that 3rd run under his belt. So we've got to do that today.
And Beau Zenith?
Yeah, well, he's been off a long time. It's the first time he's run for us, but he missed last season. He won the Grade 1 at Aintree, juvenile hurdle, and obviously got a problem then. And then he's had a year away and came to us at the Spin in the autumn, and he's a fine horse. He looks as if he ought to be jumping a fence fairly soon too. But it'll be nice to get him out and, you know, see what he is. I don't know that he's, you know, he might get a bit further than 2 miles, I would think, in the future, but it's a good place to start him.
And finally, what was the verdict on That's Nice?
She was carrying a tail rather peculiarly, got very, very overheated at the start. I don't know, 1 or 2 suggested she might be in season, but you would say should normally be doing that in December, but anything's possible.
But she is nice.
Oh, she is, yeah, that's not her today. No, I'm afraid not. Very, very disappointing, but, you know, it wouldn't change we were coming here to see if she was a 2-miler for the mares in March, but it hasn't answered that question, and we'll have to try that again and get her right, because that's not right at all.
Thanks for your time, Nicky. Well done.
Thanks, Nick.
Cheers.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.